He wears many hats for one of the largest companies in the world, Bo Miller of Dow Chemical. Bo, welcome.
Stan, thank you.
So I introduced you as wearing many hats, and right here we are at the Business Civic Leadership Center's conference on adding value in emerging markets. So how many hats do you have?
That's a good question. Actually, I'll back up a little bit. I've actually been with Dow for a number of years, over 30. I've had 5 careers with the same company, and so wearing many hats is actually kind of not unfamiliar territory to me. I wear a hat as the Global Director of Corporate Citizenship for the company, and that for us is really kind of a white space job. What does citizenship mean for a multinational? We have deep thinking around ethics and compliance and around environmental and health and safety and around community relations and around shareholder engagement and all that. But across all those white spaces, what does the external world expect of a corporation? So that's my kind of view on the citizenship space. And then the other side is President and Executive Director of the Dow Chemical Company Foundation, which is our philanthropic arm. And so all of our philanthropy from a global strategy perspective flows through my office in that regard.
Are you a business guy, or are you a do-gooder, or are you both?
You know, I like to think I'm both. From a traditional perspective, I came up through the organization in sales and marketing and business development, new business management and those kinds of things. The last several years, my charter really and mandate has really been to drive our do-good piece into our business strategy and vice versa. And so in that regard, I'd like to think I do both.
Okay. How many employees do you have globally?
The company has a little over 50,000 employees globally. We operate in numerous countries, as you can imagine. We're 114 years old, and our profile quite often is as a large employer in a small town, the largest taxpayer, the largest purchaser of local goods and services, and obviously the largest employer. And so even though we're in a highly regulated industry, our real license to operate comes from the communities we're in. And I think that history has really impacted how we operate today, 114 years later, as a global company.
What's your global corporate citizenship strategy at Dow?
Our
approach?
Yeah, our approach has evolved over the years as the whole thought process about corporate citizenship has evolved. It sits within our framework of sustainability. And with that regard, it's not just sustainability from the green concept that many people talk about today. We really think about sustainability as sustainability of the enterprise, sustainability of our business, our customers, our suppliers, the communities that we've been in for 114 years, sustainability of the planet, addressing social challenges, food, water, human health. Those are big pressing issues. And so we sit within that context, and therefore our citizenship approach has been to really focus on our communities, on science education, on sustainability, and on innovations that solve these world challenges.
Why?
Because that's good business. We have capabilities and competencies that we can leverage against those challenges. If you think about it, chemistry, in one way or another, impacts about 98% of all manufactured goods. And so if we're going to leapfrog technologies in the developing world, the smartphone has $7, $8 worth of Dow components in there. If we're going to feed an ever-growing world from 6 or 7 billion to 9 billion by 2040 or 2050, whatever it is, we're going to have to be more effective, more efficient, more productive with agriculture. We have technologies and capabilities in that regard. And so as you look at these pressing challenges, we really think that our capabilities as a company can help solve them. That's good for society, that's good for the environment, that's good for business.
I want to focus on that, the good for business part, because I think a lot of people would look at business, and put that in quotes, business, and not feel good about their activities. Would you agree with me about that?
I can certainly understand why people would have that perspective. Certainly it's been episodic in the world of business, where the industrial age has seen some really rapid run-up of benefit to society, and we've, as a collective, business has broken the trust a time or two. Witnessed the Enron scandals and so on, and frankly witnessed the financial crisis of the last several years, which continues today. it's very understandable that people have a real concern with business, at least this way it's being operated.
What can business do to regain trust?
I think the way business regains trust is to each and every day validate the value they bring to society. And when they're not producing value, to move on to something that is producing value. In the U.S. today, job creation is significant, and I think business has to find ways to really unleash its capabilities in job creation. They're going to be in a position, I think, where business has to provide some sound input to government policy to free up capital, to encourage investment, to stand tall and continue to advocate for free market opportunities. And that's not always well received, particularly in the U.S. when there's a lot of conversation about keeping jobs here. But in reality, it's a global economy, and a job kept here is not necessarily serving a market in another location, and a job in another location is not necessarily serving the market here. And so I think there's a need to really dig deeper into the capabilities that a company has, the market access it has, and to unleash that in a positive way. And I think then trust can be built again, but it's going to be a step at a time.
It sounds like, as you talk, you talk about job creation, it sounds like you're talking about sustainability again.
Well, certainly in that sense, because sustainability has three components to it. It has an economic and profitability component to it. It has a social component to it. And it has an environmental or protection of the planet component to it. And I don't think any one of those three can get disproportionately emphasized to the detriment of the others before that breaks down. And so I think it's that balance of approach that's critical for long-term success.
So other global companies who may not have been as good an actors as Dow Chemical, what advice would you give them as they go forth, as they try to, as they look at sustainability themselves?
Mm-hmm. You know, I think a lot of us in the public as general look, good actor or, whatever characterization they have about companies. A lot of that's in the rearview mirror. I mean, we know a lot more today about how to operate a chemical plant, in our case, than we did 114 years ago. And so we have to learn by doing each and every day. And we build that base of knowledge. I think what people who have room for improvement, I think people who may be leading, both have a responsibility, and that is to look forward, to look at the broad needs of this planet and this society, to find the capabilities they have that can help meet those needs, to share best practice. We have an approach within our company where the environmental standards that are the most strictest are the ones we operate to, no matter where we operate in the world. And we have what we call technology centers that focus on key technologies in how we operate our businesses. And as soon as we make a breakthrough in energy efficiency or water management at one location, we leverage that around the world to all of our other locations. And I think it's those kinds of practices that, when ingrained in your own operation and then when shared with industry, will help raise all boats.
What's your proudest moment as the head of the global corporate citizenship at Dow?
Wow, that's an interesting question. I don't know that there's one. I think if I reflect back on when I took the role 6 or 7 years ago, if I look there where we were building on kind of the traditional community relations and philanthropy, which was really well aligned to who we were and have been, and I look to where we are now, I see greater business alignment. I see greater alignment to our capabilities. I see us moving away from kind of checkbook philanthropy, if I can say it that way, to one where it's employee engagement, it's financial support, it's utilization of our products and our capabilities. We have an organization or an initiative, I would call it, called the Dow Sustainability Corps, where we take our professional employees and we deploy their skill sets against pressing needs of NGOs or social entrepreneurs. And so it's not writing a check, It's getting a pharmaceutical protein extraction specialist to go spend 3 months of her time with a startup organization in Nairobi, Kenya, trying to figure out how to extract this protein from a plant that might have a breakthrough for malaria. That to me is a much more robust view of corporate responsibility. And so that continuum of where we've been and where we are, and most excitingly, is where we will go in the future. That's my proudest moment.
Right here at the conference, the Business Civic Leadership Center has announced the creation of and release of the Business for Good map and also their International Business Core. I think Dow is an integral part of those efforts. Are they helping you? Are those efforts that you've had, that the BCLC has had, does it help you in your global work?
Absolutely. I think both of those components, the Business for Good map and the International Business Core, are two leading edge approaches to how businesses work with the world going forward. How they work collaboratively together, how they work with NGOs and social entrepreneurs, how you become more effective and more efficient in sharing of information and defining real needs, and everybody putting their best capability set into this. So the map will show very quickly where BCLC members and ultimately other corporations are placing their investments in, be it philanthropy or social engagement of some sort, against key themes of water, housing, business development, economic development, education. And the International Business Core will be a mechanism to get like-minded companies and NGOs together to help solve those problems on the ground in real time. So I think the two are very synergistic and will be really a step forward for BCLC members.
10 years from now, if I were to see you at a BCLC conference, I would ask you, Bo, looking back in the last 10 years, how'd you do? What would you say?
Well, what I would like to say, and I think we have every opportunity to say, is that US-based businesses have elevated. They've taken on a global perspective. They're looking at the needs of this world, societal needs, environmental needs, and business needs, through a much more collaborative approach. They're putting their best capabilities forward. They're reaching out to others in the value chain to assist. And at the end of the day, their businesses are better, our society is better, and the environment's better.
That'll be the last word. Thank you very much.
Dan, thank you.